What's going on, everybody? It's Brian Trippe. I am here in beautiful Birmingham, Alabama. So glad you decided to join us today for another episode of the Alaria Masterclass podcast. We are Alabama's only real estate podcast. A lot of times we like to get on local people to our state and our city in Birmingham specifically. But sometimes we bring on national guests that can give us some great perspective. And we're actually about to bring on a guest who has done events right here in Birmingham, has been to Birmingham, and can maybe shed a little bit of light on our area and then obviously real estate as a whole. From Epic Real Estate, we have Mr. Matt Theriault with us. How's it going today, Matt?
Very well, Brian. Thanks for having me, buddy.
Man, I am really excited to speak with you. I've been following you for a long time. So we like to get on guests from all over the country that can really kind of talk to us about real estate. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Matt. Who are you? How'd you get into real estate?
Sure. Yeah, when I got out of the Marine Corps, I spent the next, 15 years of my life or so in the music business. And, just fell into it. And I was pretty good at it. People started to pay me for it. And life just kind of happened. And then just each year got a little bit better than the previous, and just living the life of my dreams, really. It was really funny how different my life is now and what it was then. I wake up today, I got goals, I got to-do lists, and I got to be consistent with my activities, the money-making activities, and blah, blah, blah. Back then, I just got up and got paid for it and with no direction whatsoever. But anyway, when the digital download came along, it just turned that whole industry upside down. And so at the age of 34, I found myself bankrupt, divorced. I had just had a 7-figure year, and now I was bagging groceries for $7 an hour.
Wow.
And I didn't have a plan B. I made it all the way to 34 without even really having to think about anything. And I was at the grocery store for about 6 months. It was a very long pity party, feeling down and out and very sorry for myself, blaming everybody and everything for where I was at. And the most unlikely mentor appeared, happened to be the grocery store manager, who was also 34 years old. He'd been working there since he was 16. And he shared with me, Matt, I'm just 2 years away from reaching where I can retire and get 80% of my full salary as a pension. And along the way, I've been able to pick up a half a dozen apartment buildings. And the income from my apartment buildings is going to exceed the actual pension. And I'm 36 years old. I'm out of here. And he told me these words, and you said you've been following along, Brian, and thank you for listening. But you've heard me say this before. Real estate is the final frontier where the average person has a legitimate shot at creating real wealth. And I've probably said that 4 or 5 times a week ever since he shared that with me the very first time. And being at a point in my life where that plan B was very unclear what it was going to be, I was like, okay. And we had this in common why we got into real estate. I was like, I need to learn something new. Let me know what pays the most. And so that's what got me into real estate. And then, so that was back in 2006, and was a real estate agent because I thought that's where you were supposed to start. So right. I did that for 4 years. I'm a slow learner. I realized that this is not where you're supposed to start. And realized if real estate is where all the wealth is at, that I was really sitting on the wrong side of the desk. So I made a decision after about 4 years of being an agent to buy and sell on my own behalf and no longer represent people. Yeah. And I got sucked into that book. I doubt if you've heard of it. It's a difficult book to find called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And I got introduced that concept of passive income and escaping the rat race, that formula for generating enough passive income to exceed your monthly expenses. And you might not be wealthy when you do that, but you'll be free. And that was really appealing to me, especially after coming out of the music business and having had a lot of money in my bank account, but was not free at all. I had to keep producing records. And so I embraced that. And in 3.5 years, I was able to push my expenses down low enough to where I could get my passive income above.
Right.
And so since then, we've opened up Epic Real Estate. We show people how to invest in real estate. We invest with people, hold their hand and let them do it themselves, but we do all the heavy lifting. And then they can actually, the third way is we'll do it for them. They just hop on our back and they can come along for the ride with us. And
right.
Here we are today.
So you touched on a bunch of stuff right there. I want to kind of hit a couple of key points. For me, selfishly, I want to start with music. Sure. I'm a huge, just fanatical music person. I'll go to 50 to 75 shows or concerts every year. We have season tickets. Everything. Every genre. I just love music. I want to learn more about that. Tell me what happened. You're in the music business. Tell me that story. What were you doing?
Yeah, so it happened really weird. I raised in Irvine, California, which is a very lily white yuppie type neighborhood, upper middle class, I guess you would say. And I was in the musical theater as a freshman, and they had we were doing the show Flashdance, and they needed somebody to do the break dancing finale at the end. And so yeah, they brought some guy in from, I guess, the other side of the tracks, is how you would describe it. He came in to teach us, me and this other kid in the group, how to do it. And I just remember when he brought in his little boombox and he brought it and played the music. It was like nothing I'd ever heard before. I'd never heard anything like that before. And I just fell in love with the music, like from that moment. And then I wasn't very good at the breakdancing part, but I still consumed the music. I started DJing. I started making my own beats, and then I started having my friends rap on top of them. And it just, then I started pressing records, and then I started going from store to store with all the records in my trunk. Very cliche, but I did that, and I did that for a long time.
Give me an idea real quick. I'm sorry, Matt. Give me an idea. What time frame is this? Because you're talking about Flashdance. Was it mid to late 80s when you?
Yeah. So this was 84, 83, 84.
Okay.
Like hip hop had just been born.
Right. Totally.
I mean, they hadn't made it to the West Coast barely. And so, yeah, that's back when it was. And I remember it was Run DMC is what was on his little cassette thing. We just went back and forth, Run DMC to Herbie Hancock's Rocket. Just went back, like that was the whole mix. But that was enough for me. I fell in love.
So you were doing mostly hip hop beats, and you're producing records
I was a producer. Yep.
Wow.
And we made enough noise locally where we caught the ear of major label distribution. So we were a small little independent label, but we had major label distribution through EMI. So all of a sudden we went from being regional to global really, really quickly. And fortunately, just what we made, what we like to make ourselves, was actually had a very big commercial appeal to our audience. So when I say commercial appeal, I meant it actually pay money for it.
Right. So when you were telling your story in the beginning, and you mentioned that you kind of, I guess, hit rock bottom when working at a grocery store, that's when the music career kind of dried up. Is that what you were talking about? So if you don't mind sharing, what happened specifically?
Sure. So once we had our major label distribution, we had a really good formula of so we just knew we had to release an album every month. And there were compilation albums, artist albums, instrumental albums. We just had to release something every month. And as long as we did that, we had this very specific marketing formula and very specific distribution channels. And if we just did that every month, I don't know, myself and three of my buddies, we probably made gross 200, 250 grand a month in my early 20s, mid 20s. And that's a lot of money at that age. It's still a lot of money. But totally. We did that. And then there was just 1 month that formula didn't work as well. And we're like, what happened? Maybe it was just a fluke. Maybe they didn't like this record or something. The next month, we did it again, and it worked even less. So then that third month, we threw more money at it, and it worked even less. And within 6 months, we ran the whole thing right into the ground.
Wow. And
so at the time, we had no idea what was happening. You know what I mean? Like right now, I mean, looking back, it's crystal clear. But really the buying habits, the music buying habits of the consumer totally changed. And, looking back, it was Napster who really dug into the commercial viability of what we were doing. And we were an independent hip hop label. Like we weren't like the radio rap. We weren't the gangster rap. We were like more of a conscious underground earthy type sound. And whether that was independent hip hop or independent rock or independent dance music, that independent audience, they embraced Napster before anybody even knew what a download was.
Right.
And they just stopped going to the store and buying it because they could get it for free there.
For sure.
And, it happened really, really quickly.
Yeah. That's just such a fascinating story to me, because you started talking about Napster. I'm thinking about, that's when I was like freshman in college. 99 was when I was a freshman in college. And I just, like those days are crystal clear to me. I'm the guy burning all the songs to a CD, and I'm selling them. That's the goofball I was. It's all my fault. Thank you for taking us through that. Sure. Matt, tell me what did you take from those days, making that kind of, what did you take from that has made you a successful real estate investor?
Two things that come to mind right away, maybe three things. One is listen to people that have been there before you. Don't ask for help and then do it your way anyway. I was really good at that. Second thing, I was a super control freak. So I was the A&R department. I was the production department. I was the marketing department. I was the graphics department. I was the distribution department. Like I did everything. I would not let anybody do anything else. And I think the third thing would be to understand that the world is changing. It's changing so fast, and don't get romantic with the way how things used to be done and hold on to it so tightly that it, destroys your future. I think those are probably the big three things.
So just for everyone who's listening, I just got done. We did a podcast before this one where Matt interviewed me, and you said something that kind of caught my attention that I really would like to spend the rest of our time, if you don't mind, talking about this one specific thing. Cause I'm a big believer in going deep, and I want to go deep and really provide some value here to the people listening. And you barely mentioned it right there a second ago, that the second thing that you took with you was that you were a control freak. You were this guy and you were this guy and you were this guy. And you mentioned earlier on the podcast I did with you is that what you feel like you're really good at and what Epic Real Estate is about is systems and implementation, like how to implement stuff. I want to talk about that specifically because we all know and we can all agree that most of the information's out there. Everybody can go get any of the information. Someone who comes into your specific program, Matt, what are they going to get? They're going to get, you told me they were going to get the implementation stuff. What does that mean? Spell that out for us.
Sure. We've been a coaching business for a while. We've been doing about 6 or 7 years. We've created a number of success stories, but it was still a very small proportion of the people that we helped actually got the results. And the biggest difference between the two that got the results and didn't was just their implementation of actually just doing the work and following instructions. And they're quick to implement, they're quick to ask for help, and they're quick to share their success. Those are like the three things they had in common. So we just kind of stopped one day. It was like, okay, so how do we get more of our group to be more successful? Like how can we increase the percentages? And we just started thinking, okay, they're having trouble implementing. How can we do the implementation for them? Like how close can we get them to the finish line to where all they have to do is talk to a seller and negotiate a contract, right? So that was our whole mindset in building this. So we just looked at our business. We took our CRM, we took our marketing, we took our follow-up systems, everything, the phone system, the text system, the follow-up, the email, everything that we did in our business to build our business that we have now. And we just copy and paste that into our client's business now. So they can come, once they decide, yes, I want to work with you, that sounds good for me. They come to our office for 1.5 day immersion, and we have it almost probably 90% built for them before they even arrive, just through a couple phone interviews. And then we spend 1.5 days showing them how to do it. And by the time they leave our office and get back to their market, within 7 to 10 days of them leaving our office, their phone is ringing, their inbox is filling up with leads, and they're in the music business. No, they're in the real estate investing business. So that's how that works for us.
So I think you just mentioned something that's really critical before you even got into that, which we're going to talk about the implementation stuff. Mm-hmm. But it's almost trial and error for you as a coach, which I've gone through that as well. Like realizing that you created a lot of success stories, but there were a lot of people that weren't having the success, and you were able to pinpoint exactly why they weren't able to have success. How long did that take you to figure that out and to adjust?
Well, probably a few years. Because you have to work with a number of people to recognize the patterns, mm-hmm. right? You can't just take, well, this person succeeded and this person didn't, and it's very clear as to why. It's not clear just working with a small group of people. Yeah. But you start to see patterns, and we started to take all of our success stories and what do all these people have in common? right? And so what would typically take, even those success stories, it take those people 60 to 90 days to get everything set up. That's now we can get it done for them in 48 hours. And so what we have is we just have more people closer to the finish line that don't get all discouraged with the setup and are actually in real estate right away.
Right.
A lot of people are in the website setting up business and the phone system business. They get into that business, and by the time they get done with that, they're so tired they never actually get to do the real estate part.
Yep.
And it just didn't work, and they go look for some other program, right? So that's how that worked.
Yeah. So you just got done saying this. You're preaching to the choir to me. I mean, when I got in this business, I was told to go get a buyer's website, a seller's website, a private money website. I had to go and get business cards and I got caught up in let's go to Office Depot and let's get let's make sure we're organized. I need a filing cabinet. I'm like trying to make sure I got QuickBooks. I got all this stuff. Oh, wait a second. I don't have any revenue.
Right.
I need
an entity, and I need a trust, and then should I get an LLC or a series LLC? And there's so much to think about,
But I was told, and I think there are a lot of people out there that are teaching this, to go out and let's see how many distractions can we give our students and just make sure they're busy. Because if they're busy, they're going to feel like they're working. But the problem with that is they're not making any money, they're not doing deals, and they're going to get discouraged. So I think, and it sounds to me like you're saying this too, that it's my whole goal as a coach to get you your very first deal as fast as possible, whatever it takes. Because what I've seen is the people who end up being super successful at real estate, or just say successful, they can quit their job and do real estate. The people that have come through my program and have done that are the ones that got off to a good start because they got that confidence. Matt, talk to that. How important is the confidence in just to be able to keep the momentum going?
It's everything. I mean, it sounds kind of, not to be woo, but your mindset really is everything. And it's something I've struggled with for a long time as an educator. Like, I can teach you how to fill out a contract in 15 minutes, but why you don't get up and do it every single day, that's on you. That's in between your ears, right? So I tried to eliminate as much of that, all that friction as possible, so they could get into that moment of actually writing contracts while they're still fresh, while they're still excited about this new venture, why they still have that confidence, why they still remember why they even got started in the first place. So I think that's one part of it. We just get them to the real business as soon as possible.
Yeah.
The second part, which you were talking about earlier, was how you have this local model and you go out and do deals with people. And I had something very similar to that when I got started. I shared an office with a guy, and we were actually enrolled in this program together, a real estate investing program. And they had a recruiting aspect to it as well. So you could make money by recruiting more students also. So that seemed to be easier money for me. And so I was doing a lot of that. We were both doing a lot of that. But the guy I was sharing the office with, he actually took the actual education from where we were learning, and he was putting it to use. And I just looked over one day, and he was shuffling paperwork, and I was like, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Oh, I'm wholesaling properties." I was like, "Wait a minute. That stuff works?" Like, the stuff we were selling it was so shameful, And then the second part of that was I was a real estate agent. Like, I knew a lot more than this guy, I felt.
Right.
And my whole point was being in that office, somebody where then you're watching someone do it, that evidence that it worked, that bolstered the confidence like you can't even imagine.
Yeah.
So we do something very similar as you to get that level to that confidence level as well. So I think it's everything.
Yeah, man, for sure. Matt, if someone wants to reach out to you, learn more about you, learn more about Epic Real Estate, how can someone reach out to you?
Sure. So, they're listening to a podcast, so they obviously know how to find podcasts. So our show is Epic Real Estate Investing, and we just launched a new pilot program. It's totally free. That you can go to freerealestateinvestingcourse.com. It's how to do deals that takes no money really whatsoever. You hear about the no money down investing strategy, and you don't need as much money as most people think to do the real estate. But where you do kind of need the money is to run your business, right? So I got started in this with, I could barely rub two nickels together. I was right out of groceries. So I just put together a course. Like if I was to start all over again in that same situation, this is exactly how I do it. So we put that together, and that's at freerealestateinvestingcourse.com. So go there or go check us out in the podcast. Get to know us better there first, whichever you prefer.
Guys, go listen to the podcast. You know, I'm a big believer in content and in podcasts. Go listen to the podcast, the Epic Real Estate Investing Podcast, and go check out the free course as well. Matt, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. Like I said, I've been following you for a while, and I really do appreciate just the content and the value you give to our audience.
You bet, Brian. Thanks for having me. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Awesome, man. Guys, go hit that subscribe button. We love you so much. We'll see you next time.